Thank you, Coach Rowe. Congratulations to the Alvarado High School class of 2015, and to your parents, and to the faculty and staff for making this day come true. It is my privilege and honor to speak to you this evening on to celebrate this graduating class, to the class of 2015. In a matter of days, your life will change. No more fourth class bell. No more fun experiments in chemistry lab. No more frog dissections in biology lab. No more running down the hall because you're late for class, only to be caught by a faculty member. Band practice is now just a memory. Your life is changing. Soon you will put on your cap and gown and receive your diploma. You will have graduation parties, opening gifts and cards from family and friends, each one given to you with love. This evening I have a gift for you too. It's not wrapped in a pretty gift bag or stuffed in a card. My gift to you is an enlightenment on how you will change the world. First, to the faculty and staff, thank you for sharing your time, your knowledge, and making sure each of these students had what they needed, even if it meant spending your own money to get them to this point on their journey. You have guided these young men and women to make a difference in the world that lies ahead of them. Now your job for this class is over, and they will go out on their own thanks to you. To the parents, thank you for making sure your graduates got to school, waking them up when their alarm seemed to magically hit the snooze button on its own. Thank you for trying to learn the new math, explaining their assignments, and helping them with their other school projects. Thank you for taking the time to make sure they were able to attend after-school functions, pep rallies, football games, school plays, and any other number of other special functions. Thank you for your sacrifice. Now it is my time to give your gift from me, and I call it the Crystal Journey. You are already making a difference in the world. You're making a difference in the life of someone each day. I would like you to think of someone that made a difference in your life. It could be a teacher, family member, or perhaps a friend. It could be even a stranger. Who made a difference in your life? With that person, I want you to think of one or two words that would describe that person. Were the one or two words you were thinking about based on focusing on their intelligence? Or were the one or two words you were thinking about because they were because of their technical abilities? Or are the one or two words you're thinking about based on their values? I would like to tell you about someone who made a difference in my life. Miss Pangle. She was my high school social studies teacher. I liked meeting her in the teacher parking lot in the morning, and I would go out and she allowed me to carry her bags and her books into the classroom. And we had a little game that we would play. I would take her car keys and keep them for the entire school day. I would eventually give them back to her before we left, before I got on the bus. But that's not exactly how I remember her. I remember her because she showed me care and compassion. You see, I was less than 5 feet tall and I weighed 100 pounds as a junior in high school. She made me feel like a real person. She raised my self-worth so I didn't feel less than any of the other students. She was living her values. 49 years later, I reconnected with her via email as I prepared this presentation. And she says she also remembers me. Values are the foundation of our life and what really matters to us. Values are the foundation of life. If our values, without values, our foundation for life is weak. So where do we build our values? We start with life experiences and influences of others, like parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches, spiritual leaders, and many others. We, in fact, influence the development of values in others. And we do this by living our values every day. Here's another true story about a single mother who is making a difference. When I heard about this, she allowed me to write it and put it in one of my books. And it reads, "The single mother finishes the dinner dishes and sees her fourth grade son working on his homework assignment at the dinner table. Diligently, he is writing on his lined paper, trying not to make a mistake on this very important assignment. He has to erase a word or two, and that's okay. He closes his notebook and packs his bags in his backpack. His assignment is done." The young mother walks over to the table and asks her son what the homework assignment was that he was working on. He tells her it was a writing assignment titled, "Who Do You Admire Most?" She asked if she could read it, and he hands it to her, and she reads, "My mom," because my mom hasn't lied to me. My mom is there for me. She goes to my games, and she goes to my practices. I love her, and she loves me. My mom and I joke around. She said that she would go around the world to find my sister and I. I will miss her when she dies. Tears filled the young mother's eyes, and she asked, "Why did you feel you had to write that last sentence? Do I look that old or what?" His response was, "Most of all, you are the best mom a boy could ever ask for. And I know you will always love me and be my best friend no matter what, which is why, if and when you die, I will lose both, and it will break my heart." Tears streamed down her face, and she laid the homework on the table and hugged her son as tight as she could. No better gift could have been given to that mother that night. This story is true. This story is a living example that we teach our children values by living them ourselves. These values are from the heart. And if we can find ways to teach our youth these values, the world will be a better place. Living our values, just as this young mother does, makes a difference in the world. This is our homework assignment. Your parents have taught you the same values, just as this young mother did. So when do we begin to learn these values? I believe that we begin to learn these values as an infant, and there's a very steep learning curve as we begin to learn these. In fact, one of the first values that we learn is love, when our parents hold us for the first time. We learn these values in our early years, and typically we peak out in their early teenage years. Unfortunately, a couple of years after we're born, we also begin to learn other character defects, negative ones. So at some point, life happens, and we stop building on our values and then allow the negative influences into our lives. These are just the opposite of values. These are character defects. So when I asked you to think of someone that made a difference in your life, you thought of someone that made a positive difference in your life. Now think of someone who made a difference in your life in a negative way. As you think of that person, what one or two words come to mind? Some may think words along the lines of greedy, liar, cheat, selfish, uncaring, and more. As mentioned in my introduction, I served in the U.S. Army as an aviator. And as I approached my 11 years on active duty, I was a flight instructor at Fort Rucker, Alabama, where they teach flight school. A new helicopter was being introduced into the Army. It was a UH-60 Black Hawk. I had a good record to that point, and I know that my unit was given 2 positions to fill as an instructor. I really wanted to fly that helicopter. So I was called into my commander's office, and he said, "Mr. Petersen?" I said, "Yes, sir. I just knew he was going to tell me I was accepted into the Black Hawk program." He said, "As long as I'm the commander, you will no longer see any advanced training. You have reached your highest level of advancement. You are dismissed." Devastated, I walked out of his office. My motivation was beat down. The commander was condescending and sucked the drive out of me for doing a better job. And was I going to make the military a career with that kind of commander ahead of me? At that moment, he was a bully. He was arrogant, and I felt very self-serving. I remember that day. I remember his office as if it were today. And yet that was 35 years ago. Each story I shared leaves a lasting impression even after many years. There's an old American Indian fable that you may have heard in the past, and I think it's very appropriate for what we're talking about. Imagine an Indian encampment somewhere far away. It's nighttime. There's a full moon that shines in the dark night sky. And sitting around the fire pit is one of the tribe's elders. He's an old Indian chief. His skin is tanned and worn like leather. Sitting across from him are his 2 grandsons. And he's telling stories of the great fishing and the great hunting that he had when he was a young warrior. As one story finishes, there is silence while they look into the fire. Suddenly there's a wolf howl in the distance, and the 2 grandsons' eyes get as big as saucers, and they look in that direction. As silence returns, the 2 boys look at the grandfather, waiting for him to say something. Before the old chief could even say anything, another wolf howl in the opposite direction, as if it were answering the first wolf's howl. The children's eyes got large again and their heads turned in that direction. And soon The only sound was the crackling of the fire. Both boys were looking at the grandfather, waiting for him to say something. He says to his grandchildren, "Within me there are two wolves, fighting a very fierce battle. One wolf is evil, and is fear, ego, arrogance, resentful, selfish, and lies. The other wolf is good and represents courage, care, compassion, truth, forgiving, and love. Just as these two wolves are within me fighting this battle, they are also within you, too." Silence filled the air. And finally, one child asked, "But grandfather, which wolf will win?" The American Indian chief simply said, "The one you feed." This fable is a powerful lesson and teaches us about values versus character defects. If we continue to practice our character defects and shortcomings, then the evil wolf within us will continue to feed on that energy and grow stronger. It's when we turn our focus on our energy toward our personal values, the good wolf, that we can overcome the evil wolf and feed that good wolf with the nourishment from our soul. So we choose each day when we get up, which wolf we'll feed today. It's not easy to remember that each of us has both wolves, and each wants to win. But we control the food. I gained my values early in life, just as you did. And then I grew into adulthood. Life happens, and I allowed my values to take a back seat, and they were not important to me. I grew up on the East Coast. I'm not a native Texan. I got here as fast as I could. I was part of a middle American family. My mother was an elementary school teacher for 40 years. My dad was a pharmaceutical salesman. I have a younger brother and sister. I had a successful and fulfilling military career despite the setback I mentioned earlier, serving in the Army for 20 years. And by the way, I became a Black Hawk instructor pilot. That's another whole long story. After retiring from the Army, after 20 years, I served in the financial services industry for 25 more years. But even with my service to this country and a successful professional career, I was feeding my evil wolf. My personal values, my good wolf, were being suppressed by my evil wolf of greed, anger, and resentments. My family was placed second, and my self-serving wants were my priority. There came a point when I could no longer stand the evil wolf taking over my life. So almost 14 years ago, I stopped feeding the evil wolf and began feeding the good wolf each morning. My good wolf began to grow stronger. So it truly does matter deciding on which wolf you will feed. Each day you have a choice to feed the character defects or feed your values. Let me ask you, is there something in your life where you're feeding an evil wolf? What is causing anger and resentments? What do you see causing you or others to feed their evil wolf? Think of someone who you made a difference in their life. Was it a good wolf trait? If you heard me speak a couple of weeks ago at the high school about my experiences in Vietnam, you remember I flew medical evacuation helicopters. I mentioned that I would like to think that my actions in Vietnam saves the lives of American soldiers. My actions were driven by my values of courage, integrity, love of country, and serving others, though I didn't give it a second thought. One of my favorite quotes, "What lies behind us, what lies before us, are small matters compared to what lies within us. And when we bring what is within out into the world, miracles happen." That quote is either from Ralph Waldo Emerson or Henry David Thoreau. Depending on what Google search you look at, you'll find that one. I found both. You make a difference in the world. There's so many in the lives of so many, family, friends, and even the stranger at the store. Are you influencing them by the evil wolf or your good wolf? Use your values every day, every moment, and you will never know whose life you will touch. So it's now time for me to give you your graduation gift. I give you a blueprint for the path to your crystal journey. So what is the crystal journey? It is a path that is built on the acronym of CRYSTAL, C-R-I-S-T-A-L. The C in crystal is for courage. Courage helps you tell the truth when it would be easier to tell a white lie. It gives you the power to face fear head on and not let fear control your life. Courage gives you the strength to be authentic and remove the mask that hides your real inner self. You can be real and be yourself, and courage lets you do that. It takes courage to get out of yourself and serve others. It takes courage to love another person. The R is for respect. When you drive a high-performance car, you respect its power. Otherwise, you find yourself in an accident. You also respect the power of Mother Nature and her weather phenomena. Otherwise, you find yourself in dangerous situations. To respect someone is to honor them, to give them credit for their abilities, qualities, or achievements. While you may think respect is only a value that you give to others, you need to respect yourself, for whom you are too. Honor and give yourself your own credit for your abilities, qualities, and achievements. The I in crystal is for integrity, doing the right thing, though no one will give us credit. It is that little voice, that soft whisper that guides you to do the next right thing, expecting nothing in return. Not throwing the trash out your car window is integrity. Integrity is honorable and a humble value. It is a value that when asked about something you did, you simply say, "It was the right thing to do." The S is for serving. Living a value of service in our daily lives is not always an easy path for you. It is, however, one that can be the most rewarding values you can practice. It's putting the needs of others ahead of your own, serving as a mentor, a friend, a brother, a sister, a mom, or a dad. You are a serving leader. In the words of John Quincy Adams, if your actions inspire others to dream more, do more, become more, you are a leader. And when you find ways to serve others, helping them on their journey, find their ways to meet their needs, and not focus on your own, you are a serving leader. Be a servant leader by helping others instead of being self-serving. The T in crystal is for truth. Telling the truth can be very hard at times, and telling lies is the easy, cowardly escape. You also don't have to remember the truth. Your truth is just that, your truth. In contrast, you have to remember every lie, which one it was, to whom you told it. That can be quite a challenge to remember. Your truth is your truth, and it is yours as your heart sees it. Truthfulness is one of the keys that will open the doors that you will need to unlock on your journey. It seems simple, but it's not always easy. The A is for authenticity. Being authentic, removing your mask, is not easy. And what we seem to forget, you are unique and exceptional in your own right. When you hide behind the mask, you are not letting the world see your how truly special you are. Authenticity takes courage. Authenticity takes being truthful. You don't need to hide behind your mask on your journey. In fact, it will only impede your travel. Be yourself and stop hiding behind the mask of someone you're not. The last letter in Crystal is L for love. To care for someone more than you care for yourself, that is love. Love is that connection of one heart to another, which is boundless and infinite. No one can take away your love for another person or living creature. It is simply yours and yours to give. Love is not only in words or action, it is felt in the heart. Love is giving and is an unselfish act of kindness. It is strong as steel and as soft as a cotton ball. Love is that little smile you see across the room. Love is many things, and I could go on describing other examples. Love who you are, and you can love others unconditionally. So the graduation I give you is a blueprint for your path to your crystal journey. Courage, respect, integrity, service, truthfulness, authenticity, and love are values you already have. You will make a difference. And it's up to you to feed one of the two wolves that are within you. Which wolf will you feed? Others will remember you by the wolf you're feeding. Congratulations, class of 2015. And thank you for making a difference in my life.